Today, we're going over how to play Chamber now that he has his new kit. Brace yourself, the wait is over. The highly anticipated updated Chamber guide has finally arrived, and it's time to bring the heat. Get ready to dominate the battlefield with a masterful understanding of Chamber's revised kit. Despite facing tough nerfs, a strategic approach to his updated abilities could transform you into an unstoppable force with the once notorious agent. Say goodbye to trolling games with incorrect plays with your newfound understanding of his kit. Let's go over the basics about his abilities along with some tips you need to know. Yes, it's true, every aspect of Chamber's kit has been altered, but the essence of his playstyle remains intact. It's time to show your finesse and strategic thinking as you master the revised kit. The days of easy wins with Chamber may be gone, but the opportunities for growth and improvement are just beginning. For the dedicated Chamber enthusiast, this is your chance to shine and prove your mastery of the agent. Starting with Chamber's first ability, his Headhunter. Now at first glance, you might assume that Chamber's Big Iron is straightforward. It's a sheriff on steroids that is able to take down the enemy with a single headshot at any range with the added ability to ADS. In the past, you would see Chambers fill their Headhunter mag every round and spam bullets like they were fanning the hammer on Cassidy. Back then, this may have been a viable strat, but if you want to be successful and not destroy your economy every round pretending to be Ye, you're going to want to use this ability sparingly. The Headhunter is now a very high risk, high reward ability. So if you're purchasing bullets to substitute your Vandal one round and think, it's all good, I can just refill it next, you're bound to fall into a cycle of bad buys. The Headhunter shot should only be purchased if you can still full buy in future rounds. Most players are very inconsistent using a sheriff to begin with. Now make that pistol only have 6 to 8 shots and you're going to be inting rounds in no time, especially on pistol rounds. If I see one more Chamber buy 3 shots instead of a Ghost, I might have to write a letter to Riot myself. It's always going to be better to buy a weapon like a Ghost instead since there is more room for error. Sure, there are some situations on longer range maps like Breeze or Icebox where the bullets might be good on defense versus enemy pistols, but is it worth coin flipping rounds on hitting the shot of your life with the Headhunter? Probably not. Use it sparingly when it makes sense economically and you will be good to go. Chamber's Trip is for sure the weakest part of his kit as a whole. After the nerf, it's more like a sorry excuse for a so-called Sentinel utility. If you look over and see what KJ and Cypher have going on with their utility, it puts Chamber's Trips to shame in the current patch. Regardless of this fact, the ability for Chamber's players to get max value from this utility contributes heavily to how effective they are on both defense and attack. His Trip is able to cover a small area and detect enemies who walk in line of sight of it. After a small delay, it lays down a slow field, making it impossible for enemies to push through. Now back when Chamber was OP, players would have their Trip be a 6-man on B while they held C, and had their TP on A for a quick rotation. But now that there is range on the Trip, you need to be using it to help defend the bomb site you're playing and or your team's flank on attack. A better use for the Chamber's Trip is to use it as a cue for plays to start. A small example could be, when they hit my Trip, let's flash and nade. This way it enables Chamber's aggressive playstyle he needs to be successful, and picks up for how much more vulnerable he is after losing his TP range. And for the attacking Chambers, just because it has range doesn't mean you need to save it for after the bomb's planted. Protect the flank, please. Whew, now that I got that out of my system. If you decide to cancel a bomb site, please pick it up and put it on the flank for the other site you decide to rotate to. Before I continue to talk about his Rendezvous, I quickly want to let you know if you're looking for the fastest ways to improve and rank up, our latest Pro Guide subscription is the best way to do just that. For just $8 a month, you get access to courses, professional boot camps, and even a discount on one-on-one coaching. So try it out today. I hinted towards the weakness of this ability now that you only get one anchor in a much smaller range. This is the bread and butter of Chamber's kit. If you are not using this ability in every round in some way, whether it's to relocate after a kill or to save yourself from a brutal whiff, you're doing something wrong. After the changes, the power of this ability pretty much remained the same, but the skill floor for how you use it well went up considerably. But don't worry, spelling this ability's name is way harder than using it in game, so you should be alright. First off, you want to remember what Chamber is good at, being aggressive. Place this teleport in areas that allow you to play up in the enemy's face, but far enough away that you're not getting deleted while fixing your tie by the enemy jet who dashed up on top of you. Since you can stand anywhere in the range of his TP, always abuse off angles or positions the enemies won't think to hard clear. If the enemy team is using abilities to clear you, learn what abilities you can fight into and what abilities you need to dip out of. Example, KO Knife, really bad. If it hits you, you are going to die. Raise Roomba, not that bad. Shoot it and look for one before TPing out. If you TP out instantly before shooting out utility or getting a kill, the core of your kit didn't apply enough pressure and loses value overall. Second, you want to have a set plan in your head at the start of the round. The range of the anchor goes through walls, so use your 5-head and look to place it in areas where you will be playing later into the round. A great example is on Ascent, just look at this. At the start of the round, place your TP in A main. Go either cat or tree and boom, you have an instant TP out of any fight to a perfect position to play post plant. You're welcome. This does take a bit more planning and Chamber is less safe than he used to be, but mastering this process of planning will make you a serious threat players won't expect. And lastly, with the changes, Chamber can teleport vertically up on top of objects for a surprise angle. Don't be afraid to be creative and look for those vertical positions to abuse. This can be even more dangerous if you're using your AWP and the enemy team isn't clearing their angles correctly. Chamber is deadly because of his teleport, so if you're having consistently bad games with him, the use of this ability is bound to be the biggest contributing factor. And lastly, for the Frenchman's ultimate, we have the free, with a purchase of 8 deaths, Elo stick. This is the most straightforward part of Chamber's kit that if used correctly will gift your team free rounds along with saving you money. Most of what made this ultimate better than the standard operator was removed, so we aren't going to speak on that too much. However, knowing what makes a good operator player is extremely important and the absolute basics of being a Chamber player. In the current meta, Chamber is still the best wielder of this weapon and can easily take over games with its use, especially in lower elos where someone good with an AWP is an untouchable demon. Nothing will tilt the enemy more than a resurrected Chamber main typing "yay" in all chat after killing the whole enemy team with 5 bullets. The key to being a good AWP player is reading the enemy team's utility and tendency, and always being right there ready to destroy them on their first peek. This could be anything from the other team is going A, B, so this round they're probably going A, or just a simple, hey, I'm going to AWP this, so can you please break the Sova dart so I can delete this jet? Being in the right place at the right time is what AWPing is all about, along with of course hitting the point and click one shot. When you are dominating games with Chamber's AWP, tell them ProGuide sent you to take their RR. Now that you have all the basic Chamber tips and tricks you need to know to push that win rate from 45 to 51, you're set to start climbing to Diamond with the Forgotten Sentinel. But if you want to have maximum impact in ranks higher than that, you're going to want to hear some of these advanced tips. The best way to have a higher level of impact is to always be thinking about your positioning. With some careful planning and good communication with your team, Chamber is able to play up in areas of the map that no other agent really can. The reason positioning is so important is because of what can develop from the space you take and information you discover. Other Sentinels can't even begin to be as aggressive as Chamber because they are unable to play safe when pushed up. Chamber should be looking to work the map alone and create timings, lurks, or give accurate calls on what their team should do. If you can get your team to cooperate with you and you are able to create and hold areas of the map, attacking and defending will be so much easier. A defending example could be you position your teleport A main, you hold it for a while and there is no noise and no utility. So you decide to walk up and take that space for your team. You pick up your TP and move it to a more forward position down A main. This tips off your team that the enemy is positioned around B or mid, giving you the jump on the enemy. Agents like KJ and Cypher can't really do this since they rely on their utility to defend the site itself. Whether or not you can or should be aggressive really comes down to the player's game sense and the state of the round. If you make some mistakes trying to find this space, don't tilt, just learn from what went wrong. I'm not telling you to run it down A main and die every round, just knowing when and how to be aggressive on Chamber is a big deal for how impactful you are in general. On attack, it's sort of the same situation. You're looking to play towards the middle of the map so your team doesn't need to re-clear the area if they decide to rotate. If you know how to be safe and effective as a lurk, your team's success rate for taking bomb sites will go up tenfold. Just please make sure your trip is positioned to where your team is less likely to die to a flank because that is your main job on attack, don't forget that. You don't want everyone on your team calling you a griefer because you're saving your trip to play retake. The last tip every 2023 Chamber main should be aware of is how much less solo-oriented this character has become. In the past, Chamber was the true definition of a one-man army, but those days are gone. The more you're able to play for your team and with your team, the more successful you will be. Use your teleport to set up bait plays or to have your team bait for you. Or pair things like your trip and AWP with other agent utilities. Help your team help you become the strongest you can be with the updated kit, because with their help, you can turn a good Chamber game into a dominant one. Flashes, darts, drones, stuns, you name it, they can help you take space and win more gunfights with minimal risk, all while having your TP acting as a safety net. We hope you had a great time learning how to use Chamber in the current meta, despite his nerf state. Though there may be more powerful agents like Killjoy and Cypher, Chamber stands out with his unique playstyle that is harder to master. Don't let his current limitations hold you back from maximizing his potential. Embrace the challenge of bringing your own flair to his kit and dominating the game. With dedication and hard work, you'll soon see your efforts pay off. Thanks for tuning in. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.